And we are back. And we just finished watching 2021's Language Lessons, which clocks in at 1 hour and 31 minutes. This is currently streaming on HBO Max. And IMDb doesn't have a rating for it. But I would guess PG-13. I mean, I think there was 1 or 2 curse words in it.
Yeah, there's probably 1 or 2 curse words. Nothing.
Yeah, but nothing
major.
egregious.
It was just, this was like a PG movie.
Well, I mean, there's some adult themes. I mean, nothing crazy, but just
grown-up stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't think
conversations
kids would not be interested in this
and,
movie at all.
Yes, I don't think. I mean, our kids were on the couch, but I don't think they gave a crap about what was going on the screen. There's adult themes in this film. There's themes about loss. One of the characters loses a spouse at the beginning, at the very beginning.
It's actually jarring.
Yes. And the way it's revealed is also kind of weird because originally when that scene commences, I was maybe he was on a bender, but then he's like, "Oh, I lost my spouse last night."
Yeah.
Which was like, huh?
I know. It was just out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere. What else? I mean, there's discussion of, I guess, medical issues.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
It's a grown-up movie.
It's a grown-up movie. It's more about just a relationship that forms, a friendship that forms. There's no romance or anything.
No,
it's just it's a straight-up romance. It's about people caring for other people, even though they don't know each other really.
Right. And maneuvering this landscape of relationships through, I guess, Zoom or whatever your video chat
platform of choice.
Of choice, exactly. Yeah. So we meet the teacher, Cariño, played by Natalie Morales, who also is one of the co-writers on this. This was written by Natalie Morales and Mark Duplass.
She directed it too, isn't it?
And she directed it as well, correct. And they both share writing credits for this film. I enjoyed this a lot. It's different, but it still held my attention. It's not a long movie. It's an hour. What did I say? An hour and 31? Yes, an hour and 31 minutes. This looks exactly how you would expect it to look, the picture quality and stuff. There were parts where it mimics kind of the video chat platform where it's kind of blurry and whatnot. But all in all, I feel like it was a good, solid story. I mean, here's a man who loses a spouse, who's trying to maneuver that loss and finds himself growing attached to this person on his computer or tablet who is there for him at a very specific, tragic, excruciating point in his life.
Yeah.
And who treats him with kindness and empathy. And from there, I mean, I always got the impression that Adam definitely saw her as a friend. She seemed very resistant to having him.
She definitely seemed to be wanting to keep a bit of distance because she sort of fell into a very supportive role for him. Mm-hmm. And for him, this was like a lifeline.
Right.
He's suddenly thrust into the worst position imaginable for a human being, loss of your significant other, and the only voice that reaches out to him in that particular point in time is the woman calling up to say, okay, it's time for our Spanish lesson.
Right. Which the husband had purchased for him. Right. And which is also kind of a thing that ties him to her. It's like this was one of the last things that he had received from his spouse.
Yeah.
What?
For some reason. I was going to sort of say, she's like John Wick's dog.
I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
But there was no killing and vengeance.
Yes.
It's a totally different movie.
What did you think of the film?
I thought it was interesting.
It's not something you'd seek out, obviously.
It's absolutely not something that I would go and seek out. I mean,
but
we've been sort of
hovering,
watching this for a long time.
Yeah, but having watched it now, what do you think?
I thought it was very well done.
Yeah,
there seems to be a little bit more of these type of movies where it's people basically just FaceTiming each other and
right.
and
yes,
whatnot.
that is I mean,
seems to
in
be
a time of COVID.
yeah, in the time of
So,
COVID,
this makes sense.
This was the way to make a movie.
Yeah.
And so
But
it's got its own little genre here.
Yes, but this, I mean, even with the sort of gimmick, I feel like it still represented the characters well. I think the story was strong enough. There was not a lot of filler in this.
No.
And you get the almost real life experience of this kind of genesis of this relationship. It's very awkward in the beginning, right? And as the story progresses, even though she's resistant, they do form a bond. They do have a relationship. And
like you could tell there was that one scene when she calls him in the middle of the night.
Right,
and
exactly.
It's sort of like she let herself go and let herself embrace that kind of friendship. And then
Sure.
like the following day, it's sort of like she wants to go back.
Right,
It's
right.
like, oh, I opened the door a little too much.
Right,
and
right,
I
right,
wanna, I want
right.
to close that door again, but it's kind of too late.
And
at that point.
that subsequent interaction that they have is very uncomfortable because she's like, I don't owe you any explanation. And, who do you think I am? You don't know anything about me. Yeah. Like that was it was almost like she was being unnecessarily unkind, right? And it was like,
well, you could see, I mean, honestly, you could see where she's coming from, considering that it's like, if this was a Hollywood movie, they would have fallen in love.
Sure.
And like, that's the sort of thing where you could see that this is absolutely not what these characters want.
Right.
But we've watched enough of this crap
to know,
to be like, okay, well, this person clearly expects this of me.
Right.
And it wasn't the case at all.
At all.
It wasn't the case at all.
Yeah.
And she sort of had to like move beyond that because she was bringing up like the tropes.
Yeah.
Oh, you're the white savior. And he's like, no. And he has to basically sort of navigate the fact that, yeah, I'm in this. The role that I'm playing is the archetype of the white savior, but I don't want to. I'm not trying to be that. I am just trying to be a friend, a human helping a human,
right?
Get through something,
right? Because you
were there
for me.
Yeah, you were there for me. I mean, seriously, he in his mind, he's super grateful and appreciative of Cariño. Cariño. He is. I mean, and rightfully so. I mean, she was what helped guide him through the darkest part of his life.
Yeah.
And if somebody's doing that for somebody, they're going to be extremely grateful for that.
Of course.
And maybe if she was a little bit more open to that, she would have realized that. But you could tell she doesn't want to be that open to that. She's
very guarded.
Very guarded. She's had a bad relationship in the past. She's lived with certain deaths in her family. And failed marriage, and she knows what's sort of like.
Well, I think
she could see that in her future.
I think she operates like you. Expect nothing, and you won't be disappointed.
Sort of, yeah.
I do like that the Adam character is gay because I think it eliminates the whole like forced.
I think that was the purpose of the character.
But I think that's brilliant. And I think it worked well here because at the core of this story, like you said, it's somebody who appreciated another human being's kindness in their darkest time who now wants to return the favor.
Right, yeah.
And
yeah, so it works and
yeah.
It's necessary.
Yeah.
Because like I said, if this was just some Hollywood thing, they would just be like, you know what, make them straight, and by the end of the film they get together.
Yeah. He's realized that even though his wife died, there's now this second chance at love.
They would just hammer that nonsense.
Yeah. Well, this was
saccharine pile of bull.
I really liked it. I mean, everything, even the dialogue itself felt very rooted in real life, things that people would say to each other. I mean, when she's unkind, she is extremely unkind to him. When he's at his lowest, he is just a mess. That second lesson that she does with him, or was it the second or the third? Maybe it was the one after, where she's like, okay, well, my plan today was to take a walk and show you like the vegetation and the animals. And he's so like exhausted from his grief that he just falls asleep, right?
Yeah.
So it's little things like that. As someone who's lost both their parents, little gestures like that mean so much. And I think that definitely manifests itself in the film. Like that, you definitely get a sense that Adam is just a wreck. And he's a wreck for a while, but then he turns a corner, and she had sent him messages, and she had been a constant kind of support there for him, whether she intended to or not. I mean, she reaches out to him. She's like, oh, well, I just wanted to check in, and if you want to keep doing these lessons, I'm okay with it. If you want to postpone them, we could do that too. Maybe you want to keep busy, I can give you homework. She's definitely reaching out as one human being to another human being that's hurting, so that when there's an incident with her, I don't want to say too much because it's not a new movie, but in case people want to watch it and they can just go into it blind, I think this definitely works best when you go into it without knowing too much about it.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it makes the story more impactful because you don't expect certain things. Anything else you want to add?
Not really. I mean, there's you don't want to give away anything. I mean, even if we did, it's not really.
I mean, it's
terrible.
Not. It wouldn't be. Yeah, it wouldn't be
but
crazy.
It's sort of the sort of film you want to see unfold organically on your own. And both leads are very nice, very good in what they're doing. Yeah,
solid performances, a good script. I mean, it's not anything. It's not Double Indemnity, which was on TCM the other night, which is great, but it definitely feels rooted in slice of life, right?
Yes, I would agree with that.
Yeah. Anything else? I mean, do you think the gimmick of the whole FaceTiming thing or whatever they do you think that added to the story, or does that take away?
No, I think that was this sort of story really lends itself to that kind of medium, because you don't need to have
people in the same
sets
room
and I'm in a coffee shop doing my Spanish lesson or something. No, it's this is the sort of thing that you're going to be doing at home anyway. I mean, and so long as it was, I mean, obviously these people have the greatest internet connections ever, aside from that one little bit where she's walking through the
park or wherever
the jungle
she is.
or the park or wherever she is, and even then, you could still see everything quite clearly.
Yeah,
and it works. It just works. So yeah, this type of story lends itself to that medium.
Without giving too much away, did you expect the end to pan out the way it did? Yeah. I wasn't sure. I kept thinking
what? It was a little strange that there wouldn't have been some kind of communication between the two.
Right.
But whatever.
Yeah. No, but it
sort of adds like a nice bit of a surprise. Yeah.
But I think it also works with her personality. I think she strikes me as the type of person who would rather go hungry than ask for help, would rather just cut her own tongue off instead of voicing the fact that she needs help. I think she's very stubborn in that.
Plus, like you see in her character, it's she doesn't know if she could trust this guy.
That was a big thing with her. Right?
He is a random dude on the internet that paid to take Spanish lessons.
Well, not even him.
Not even him. Yeah, his spouse did. So let's be honest, that's actually pretty smart.
Yeah. No.
I mean, we're of that age where I was going online like way back with Commodore 64. Okay, so if you were talking to somebody online, chances are it was some dude. Whether they said they were a man or a woman, it was generally some greasy fat dude
in his mom's basement.
There's a source for that stereotype, and it was real. It was real. It's not like today where 90% of the time when you're talking to a girl, it's probably a girl.
Yeah.
Because you're actually speaking with a human being face to face.
Right. And plus you have cameras now.
Yeah, you have cameras. Back then it was just sort of like words on a screen saying, "Hey, let's you really want to meet in real life? Okay, I'll send you a bus ticket and I'll pick you up at Port Authority."
Yeah.
Stuff like that happened, and people were never seen again.
Sure. Yeah, no, I guess so. But it was still weird because he was just so, like, several times he had reached out to her. And I like how they did that, like the messages to each other. I mean, they're, obviously there were their interactions, there were their lessons, their classes together. But I really liked the scenes where they were just giving messages to each other. Yeah. Which sort was really nice.
The in-between
stuff.
Times,
yeah. So, I mean, he definitely sent her a lot of messages, and she sent a few, not as much to him as he did to her. And I could see how he came to the, oh, well, we're friends thing.
Yeah.
Whereas she was definitely more like, no.
Yeah, well, I feel like he really, really needed a friend.
Right.
And she did too, but she did not want.
It was almost like she didn't want to. Yeah.
It was like
she fought it.
Yeah,
for sure. So it's interesting because you see movies like this, and I think the other nice thing about a movie like this is that there's so many broad strokes, right? And there's so much that's left unsaid that you as a viewer kind of have to paint your own picture. Like, well, how did she get here? You understand that she's had personal loss within her familial family, but what made her so guarded? What made her so distrustful and so standoffish with other people? And even with the Adam character, it's like he tells her in the beginning, like, this isn't me. Like, I grew up poor.
Yeah.
And now I have all these things, and I have this beautiful house and this marriage. And you could tell that he didn't take those things for granted. He was very appreciative of his good fortune and stuff.
Yeah.
But it was also like, at the same time, he sort of felt embarrassed by it. Or as he said, pregnant by it, which was really funny. That was another thing. As a native speaker of Spanish, I really appreciated that. For the most part, this movie did a really good job of translation with the subtitles, because sometimes things are off by like word, like, or a phrase or something, and that always bothers me because as a viewer, you want to be able to follow the story. So the subtitles have to be as accurate as possible. So it's always hard watching, not always hard, but it's frustrating watching foreign movies because it's like, I wonder if this is what's really being said. But in this case, having that capacity to understand, I could say with like 99.6% accuracy that the subtitles were pretty on the money.
Okay, I got to take your word for that.
Does that take away from the story because you have to concentrate on the words and you can't really maybe look at the pictures? No, and especially
in this because it's just talking heads.
Right.
It's a bit more distracting, like when, let's say, we're watching an anime or something, and
right, because there's so much
craziness going on screen, and then there's just like a flurry of dialogue.
Yeah.
And your eyes have to like sort of like
do double duty. Yeah.
It's like I want to follow along with the story, but
I also want to absorb this grandeur.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah. I guess numbers 1 to 10. What would you give this?
I'd give it a 6.5 or 7.
I was going to say 7. I mean, I felt like it's not a long movie, so I feel like that's a positive, right? Because and there's not a lot of filler. The story moves at a pretty decent clip. I mean, you go from point A to point B to the end in a fairly well done way. I think that I don't know what we want to call it, this gimmick of telling a story through FaceTime or whatever voice chat app. I agree with you. I think it lends itself really well here. I think both leads were very strong. There's not a lot of other stuff. I mean, you hear when she calls him for the birthday, you hear that woman in the background, and you briefly see Will in the beginning for like a hot second when he runs past, and then in pictures. So yeah, this is definitely Adam and Cariño's story. That's it.
Yeah, you could tell this was filmed during COVID.
Yeah. You could definitely tell that this was filmed during COVID, but it doesn't take away from the impact of the story, which is just making that human connection with another human being.
This is the type of story that you could tell very well in this style.
Yes, agreed. Anything else you want to add?
No, not really.
Would it have been better if this had been longer?
No, I think it was just the right amount of time.
Okay. Was there anything in the story that you wish was different?
Not really. No. I mean, what would you have changed?
No, I'm just wondering. Because, I mean, sometimes to me, it's like, oh, it's only an hour and 31 minutes.
That's perfect.
Yeah, is it?
Yes. I don't need to sit around for 2 hours and watch two people chit-chat. We got the story done.
Yeah.
Why add filler?
All right. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
For some reason, I mean, not to get off on a tangent, but I was thinking about Malcolm and Marie the other day. I don't know why.
Oh, God.
And that's basically what that movie was.
Yeah.
And this was so much better and shorter.
Well, that film was, it was like you hated.
It was all over the
hated
place.
Both characters, and it was just let's really say mean things to each other. Let's stop talking. Let's say mean things to each other. Let's stop talking.
Yeah.
Let's say mean things.
Yeah.
It really was those two dogs just
barking at each other. Yeah.
With the occasional sojourn to poop by a tree or whatever. I don't even know what the hell that was.
I don't know either. That was such a weird movie.
Beautiful house, and I'm going to go outside and poop by a tree.
Yeah. That was weird. That was such a, I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. So 6.5, 7.
Yeah.
Recommend?
Yeah. If you want a cute little relationship story that's not a romance.
Yeah.
Which is always nice.
Yeah. I think this is a really good entry into the whole slice of life genre.
It's nice seeing people who are just friends.
Yes. Yes. With no ulterior motive, no hidden agendas.
I don't need shipping going on. Just there's such a thing as friendship still in this world. Everybody just doesn't need to have sex with everybody else.
Yes. Yeah. And everything doesn't have to be a hookup.
Yeah.
All right. So once again, if you haven't seen it, we recommend Language Lessons, written and directed by Natalie Morales, with writing credits to Mark Duplass and Natalie Morales. This stars Natalie Morales and Mark Duplass as the leads, and is a really great story about the development of an unexpected friendship in these digital times.
Uh-huh.
And a movie obviously filmed during COVID.
Yes.
Okay, that's it from us. Oh, again, if it's streaming on HBO Max, 1 hour and 31 minutes. Not rated on IMDb, but we're definitely going to say PG-13, right?
PG-13.
Okay, that's it from us, and we will bid you all a
good night.
Good night.